Shalom, Pastor Hawking, back at you with the truth, giving all praises to Yahweh Bashem, Shah Bashem Kakodash. And I'm going to entitle this video, Jacob's Trouble, Jeremiah chapter 30. Now I watched, this is about maybe, 45 minutes ago. I was watching a video that the Apostle Gabar had put up, which was a response to Elder Menatazakba. I didn't get a chance to see the video that Elder Menatazakba put up, but I saw part of the video, or most of the video of that Apostle Gabar had put up, and it was dealing with somebody basically saying that the time of Jacob's trouble already took place. Either the time of Jacob's trouble already took place. It's never going to come. It's not going to come, period. It already came. Well, if you go to the scriptures, you can't see. If you read the scriptures, you wouldn't have this problem, of guessing as to what a particular precept says. So what I'm going to do is, and we did this before. We went into this, I don't know, maybe a year and a half ago. We did this on, the Highways and Byways Alive video. And it keeps, people keep coming back with their interpretation of what they think the scriptures is all about. If you read this whole chapter, even the Bishop Nathaniel, he even said, and I bring that up every once in a while. He was on the show, and he got into a little argument with an individual that, and that man died. He was a man of a certain age, older man, and he's a broadcaster, and I guess he's also a pastor. So he had brought up the question concerning Jacob's trouble. So Bishop Nathaniel said, "Oh, Jacob, there's not a Jacob trouble. There's not going to be a Jacob trouble." Now the scriptures say this is the only time Jacob's trouble, and I'm gonna double check that, but this is the only time the term Jacob's and trouble are in the scriptures. And let me see if that's the case. Let me take Jacob's trouble. See if it's written anywhere else. It's only written one time in the Bible. The phrase, now you're going to find the word trouble, and you're going to find the word Jacob or Jacobs, but you're not going to find both the words Jacobs and trouble together. So it says, alas, Jeremiah 30 verse 7, alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. Now, a precept should come to your mind immediately is Daniel chapter 12. So let's go to that real quick. Because if Jacob's trouble already took place, then there would be a record that the angels came down and did such and so to one of the kingdoms that we were under. Well, there's no record of that. No different than vocab saying Edomites are done away with. But where's a record of what date were the Edomites done away with? It says Daniel 12 verse 1, the time of the end, which is the time of Jacob's trouble. When the destruction comes, when the deliverance comes, that's the time of Jacob's trouble. And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people, the Israelites, and there shall be a time of trouble. Now, it didn't say Jacob's trouble, but it says the word trouble. There shall be a time of trouble. What trouble do you think it's talking about? What time period do you think it's talking about? It's talking about Jacob's trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that time, same time. And at that time, the time of Jacob's trouble, thy people shall be delivered, everyone that shall be found written in the book. Now, when you read this, what the next precept that should come to your mind, I know it comes to my mind, is Revelation 12. So let me go to that real quick. And even they break it down in subtitles, headlines, the woman Israel. Okay, well, the blue letter says that that woman, what you have the Roman Catholics say, oh, that's the Roman Catholic Church. No, it represents Israel. The woman Israel, or the woman is Israel. The red dragon, Satan, and Satan just means enemy. The male child, which is the Messiah, they got that right. The angel Michael, it says in there, Revelation 12, verse 7, and there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels and prevailed not, neither was their place found anymore in heaven. And that great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. So what is that talking about? That's also talking about Jacob's trouble. I don't even think this video is going to be that long because I'm kind of moving a little bit quick. So now let's go back to Jacob, to Jeremiah 30, verse 1. And it's only 24 verses. So this is going to be quick, but now it could go a little bit further in time. If there's a lot of, if the Spirit sends me to a lot of different precepts. So just based upon the 7 verses, sent me to 2 other precepts. So it says deliverance from captivity promise. You notice it said deliverance from captivity, not from captivities. So you're going to find out when you read the rest of this chapter that it's talking about one captivity. It's talking about the captivity that we're in right now. Michael is going to save us from the captivity that we are suffering and experiencing right now. It says the word that came to Jeremiah or Jeremiah from Yahweh, saying, thus speaketh Yahweh the Most High of Israel, saying, write thee all the words that I have spoken unto thee in a book. For lo, the days come, saith the Yahweh, that I will bring again the captivity of my people Israel and Judah. You notice that he said Israel and Judah. Why did he say Israel and then Judah? Because this was the split took place. This was after the split. So ultimately, when you go to the various precepts, you'll see how the Most High speaks. When he speaks about Judah or Jacob, he also mentioned Israel. Perfect example, perfect scripture. Isaiah, there's a bunch of scriptures that are out there that should come to mind. But Isaiah 14:1, for the Lord will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel. So Jacob also, sometimes Israel as a nation is known as Jacob. Sometimes the kingdom of Judah is also known as Jacob. That's why in Isaiah chapter 14, he mentions Jacob and Israel, because that's to bring him back together of the two kingdoms into one. Because we're coming out as one kingdom. You ain't gonna have no ship for the kingdom of Israel, the northern kingdom, and then another ship for the southern kingdom. We're gonna all be, now pursuant to Revelation 11, we're gonna all be delivered in one ship. And I'm talking about the elect. You can read that in Revelation chapter 11. It says, saith Yahweh, and I will cause them to return to the land that I gave to their fathers, and they shall possess it. So we know that this third verse is not talking about any other time. It's not talking about the time of Egypt, because Egypt came and went. That's something from the past. It's talking about now. It's not talking about the Roman Empire, because the Lord, Michael and the angels didn't come down, although they showed themselves during the time period of 70 AD. If you do the research, you had eyewitnesses, and I believe even Josephus said he saw strange things up in the sky. Those were the angels, but they didn't attack because it was time for Israel to fall. The Apostle Paul said there must be a falling away first. So that falling away was talking about 70 AD. It said, for lo, the days come, saith Yahweh, that I will bring again the captivity of my people Israel. That's talking about this captivity, and Judah, saith Yahweh, and I will cause them to return to the land that I gave to their fathers, and they shall possess it. So we haven't seen our land really since the Roman Empire. We're talking 2,000 years ago, over 2,000 years ago, more than 2,020 years ago. Fourth verse, and these are the words that Yahweh spake concerning Israel and concerning Judah. Why? Because of the two separate kingdoms that will be brought together as one. That's what Ezekiel 37 chapter is all about. But thus saith Yahweh, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace. Ask ye now, and see whether a man doeth travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins, as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness. You know, Jake gets pale face when he's sick. They'll say a guy could be medium brown or whatever, and he's sick, and they say, yeah, you sick, you got a fever, and your face is pale. Doesn't mean that it's white. Your color's off. 7th verse, alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. For it shall come to pass in that day, saith Yahweh of hosts, that I will break his yoke from off thy neck, and will burst his bonds, and strangers shall no more serve themselves on him. So we don't have physical yokes around our neck. We have paper notes around our neck and bonds. When you go to court, you can bond out, you can bail out, or you can bond out. So they got papers on you. You have a social security number, you have birth certificate, you have driver's license, you have all these licenses and certificates and documents based on adhesion contracts. It says, 9th verse, but they shall serve Yahweh their power, and David their king, whom I will raise up unto them. So has David been risen up after he died? Was there any time in history that David, during the Babylonian captivity, did David come up on the scene? No. David is going to be known in this time when the deliverance comes. And that's talking about King David. It's not talking about Yahweh Shai. It's talking about King David. Tenth verse. Therefore fear thou not, O my servant Jacob or Yaquab, saith Yahweh, neither be dismayed, O Yasha Allah. Remember, they mentioned Jacob, then they mentioned Israel. So Jacob is interchangeable with Judah, but it's also interchangeable with the whole nation of Israel. For lo, I will save thee from afar, and thy seed from the land of their captivity. Now, you could ask for captivities because we're scattered all over the place, literally. And Jacob or Yaquab shall return and shall be in rest. That's the kingdom. And that's also, the word rest is also in Isaiah chapter 14 chapter. And be quiet, that's the kingdom. And none shall make him afraid. For I am with thee, saith Yahweh, to save thee, though I make a full end of all nations, whether I have scattered thee, yet will I not make a full end of thee. So we're here, but I will correct thee in measure and will not leave thee altogether unpunished. So the Lord said he will correct thee in measure, meaning you compare right now to, let's say, 1785, 1822, during the course of hardcore slavery out in the field. If you had a choice and they said, you want to go back in that old time slavery, or would you like to deal with your hell in this time period? You're going to pick this time period. So we're not catching the hell that we caught, let's say 150, 200 years ago or more. So the Most High said he will correct thee in what? In measure. There's a lot of Jakes out there doing good. Jake makes a certain amount of money, whether they're entertainers, sports figures, athletes, boxers, whatever, comedians, actors. They get to bring their money home. They got to pay a certain tax to Babylon, but they bring a lot of that money home. Now, in hardcore slavery, if you were a performer, you had your slave master. He said, look, I can make money on this nigga. So the slave master would send him around to different plantations and charge for him to entertain. But who got the money? The master. You didn't get none of it. You might have got an extra piece of pork that night. It says, for thus saith Yahweh, thy bruise is incurable, and thy wound is grievous. That's talking about the condition that we're in. There is none to plead thy cause. Now right now with this war in the Ukraine, Russia and Ukraine, when you go to the mainstream media, the MSM, it's all about how we got to help the Ukrainian people. And they had passed an executive order, the president, where they said, if you come to this country, if you come to America, you good for 3 years. If you decide to stay in America, you apply for citizenship or you go back to your country, but you good for 3 years. You don't got to get on no line like the Mexicans. You just come in America, we'll hook you up. If we ain't got a job for you, we'll hook you up with housing, we'll hook you up with food stamps, we'll give you benefits, and guaranteed they're gonna get better benefits than you Jakes. So you got these people from another country that's going to do better than you. And in some cases, be up over you on your jobs. So they're definitely pleading their cause. It said, there is none to plead thy cause, that thou mayest be bound up. Thou hast no healing medicines. Because what's our medicine? What is the thing that can heal us, that Esau can give us? The fact that we're Israelites. Esau's not going to tell you that. And he knows exactly who you are. So all you conscious Jakes out there and all you Jakes that don't believe this, hey, the Most High is going to destroy you. But he's going to heal the elect. '14th verse. You can hear him in the hood in the background. Anyway, it says, all thy lovers have forsaken thee, that they seek thee not, for I have wounded thee with the wound of an enemy. What does that mean? That the Most High used this man to bring you down. This is the Most High's puppy, pit bull. Esau is the pit bull of the Most High. With the chastisement of a cruel one, Esau, you can't get any more crueler than Esau, especially in hardcore slavery. For the multitude of thine iniquity, because you sin, because thy sins are increased. Why criest thou for thine afflictions? Thy sorrow is incurable for the multitude of thine iniquity, because thy sins were increased. I have done these things unto thee. Jake is busy committing adultery, commiserating, shooting one another, killing one another, stabbing one another up, hating on one another. Like I said, the Most High is not going to bring these ninjas in the kingdom. They're going to have to be born again, literally, through the elect. He ain't bringing these lowlifes in the kingdom. These sycophants, look that up. These demons. 16th verse. Therefore, all they that devour thee shall be devoured. All the nations that came up against us, the Most High is going to deal with them in a harsh manner. That's why vocab alone, the so-called Jew, says the German Jew, the Ashkenazi Jew, says, oh, the Edomites are done away with. Well, that's a good way to get out of this punishment. They were done away with. Let's say they were done away with. The Most High gonna raise them back up any goddamn way. So, what the hell you got to say now? There's a thing called reincarnation that you can't see, pursuant to Daniel 12, verse 10. And all thine adversaries, all the enemies of the various nations that put you in slavery, every one of them shall go into captivity. So you put us into captivity, you're going to go into captivity. And they that dwell, that spoiled thee shall be spoiled. And all they took our shit, we're going to take this shit. And we're going to take them. And we're going to shackle them up. And we're going to sell them on auction blocks. And we're going to ship them from one part of the earth to the other part of the earth. And they're going to be working in the field. They're going to be doing anything you tell them to do. It says, I believe that's Isaiah 61. And in your glory, you shall boast yourself. And we're going to live in pomp. High up, there's a term called hegemony. That applies to Esau, mainly in America, but it's going to apply to us. And all that pray upon thee will I give for a prey? For I will restore health unto thee, and I will heal thee of thy wounds, saith Yahweh, because they called thee an outcast, saying, this is Zion. The word Zion from the Hebrew to Zion, which means monument, whom no man seeketh after. Like I had a friend, I mentioned in the video a couple of months back that before he died a week after, about a week and a half after I saw him. And he was really doing bad. You know, he'd been in and out of the prison system, in and out of homeless shelters, lived on the street in a homeless shelter, back in the prison. You know, he looked all of a homeless person, right? You know, he looked dirty, he looked grimy. But when I saw him, you know, I thought about us when we were friends as kids. And you know, I put him in my car, I gave him some money. And I didn't say, oh, he might dirty my car, he might, you know, he might have fleas. I didn't think that way. I said, this is a friend of mine. Going back to when we were 10, 11 years old, 12, 13. So I didn't know he was going to pass, but you know, his mother told me like a week and a half later that he had passed, and he had told his mother that he saw me. So she knew. Well, at first she said he was missing. Yeah, he's missing. Trying to call the authorities to find out where he was. He was actually in the hospital, and he went to sleep, and he never woke back up. But see, I showed him, the spirit set that whole thing up, because the place that I ran into him, I wasn't even supposed to be in that place. I was going to go somewhere else, and the spirit said, no, go over there, because I had to go to a restaurant to use the bathroom. So I said, no, I'll go home and do it. I can hold it, whatever. And the spirit said, no, go over there, because you don't want to pee on yourself. You know, something to that effect. So I went over there, and that's where I saw him. And some police looking like they wanted to arrest him. But I came and I said, no, I'll take him. I know him, blase, blase. But I put him in my car. You know, I gave him some money. I told him to go see your mother, you know. And then like I said, the next time I saw her, she said he was missing. And then, he was in the hospital. He fell asleep. He was on the bed, the gurney, you know, they were working on him. And he went to sleep. You know, you in the hospital, you go to sleep and you get up the next morning. He never got back up. And then when she told me, I kind of smiled, because you know why I smiled? Because he's in a better situation that he is. Sometimes you're better off in the spirit world, man. He ain't got nothing to worry about now. He's good. And plus he knows he's an Israelite. They said, thus saith Yahweh, behold, I will bring again the captivity of Jacob's tents and have mercy on his dwelling places. Now, I said all this about my friend because the Most High is our friend in a bigger sense. And he remembers us because the promise that he made to Abraham, which went down from Abraham to Isaac, and from Isaac to Jacob. You know, there's movies out where, and this happens in life, where you have two men that are best friends, and the other man's going to die, and his son is still there, but his son gets in trouble, and he tells his best friend, look, take care of my son, no matter what he does, take care of him. You know, you're like his father now. And at times, this man wants to kick this kid in the ass and kick him out, but he thinks about his best friend. He said, I'm doing it for my best friend. So guess what? The Most High delivering us because of his best friends, which is Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And see, this is why these small hats want to do everything to show the Most High that they're the people, because they know the blessings that are getting ready to come, and they ain't going to get those blessings. It says, this is Zion. Let me see, because they call that an outcast, which is us, saying, this is Zion, whom no man seeketh after. Yeah, you don't have to seek after us, because the Most High is seeking after us, and the Most High is watching over us. It says in the headline, restoration of Jacob. It says, 18th verse, thus saith Yahweh, behold, I will bring again the captivity of Jacob's tents and have mercy on his dwelling places. And the city shall be built upon her own heap. That's our own land. So the headquarters of the kingdom is going to be in the land, in the land of Israel, Palestine, as they call it. And the palace shall remain after the manner thereof. So we're going to have a temple, we're going to have houses, we're going to have a kingdom. And the power, the Most High is going to dwell, Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua is going to dwell among us. We're going to feel the constant presence of our power. And out of them shall proceed thanksgiving and the voice of them that make merry, because we're going to be happy on that day. And I will multiply them, and they shall not be few. I will also glorify them, that's a kingdom, and they shall not be small. Let me look up the word glorified. It says in Romans, the 9th chapter, and the glory meaning the kingdom, right? So let me look up the word glorify. Kabod. Oh no, this doesn't make sense. Okay, it says to make honorable, honor, glorify, to be made honorable, to be honored, to make heavy, to, I don't know why this is all in there, to cause, to honored, to honor oneself, self. So that's going to be in the kingdom. So it says, I will also glorify them, give them the kingdom. And it says in Daniel 2, the kingdom shall be not left to other people, and they shall not be small. That's in Isaiah 60. A little one shall become a thousand, a small one, a great nations. 20th verse, their children also shall be as aforetime, and their congregation shall be established before me, and I will punish all that oppress them. So you want to find out the list of the people that oppressed us, go to Psalms 83. Number one on the list is Esau. So you mean to tell me the worst nation on the planet Earth that came up against us is done away with? Come on, vocab. You can do better than that. 21st verse, and their nobles shall be of themselves, and their governor shall proceed from the midst of them. Governor meaning you will rule over something. And I will cause him to draw near, and he shall approach unto me. For who is this that engages his heart to approach unto me, saith Yahweh? and ye shall be my people. And it's not talking about the body of believers. You have Chinese people, East Indian people, and the white man leading it. Now that's not gonna happen, vocab. You keep dreaming. And ye shall be my people, and I will be your power. Behold, the whirlwind of Yahweh goeth forth with fury. So what's the whirlwind all about? Scriptures speak about, matter of fact, let me do this. Let me take the word. I should either put in whirlwind or whirlwinds. Okay, Elijah was taken up in what? A whirlwind, which was a ship. Elijah went up by a whirlwind into heaven. Yahweh answered Job out of the what? Whirlwind. When John was on the Isle of Patmos in John the 10th chapter, the angel came down in the ship. As the whirlwind passeth, so is the wicked no more, but the righteous is an everlasting foundation. Whose arrows are sharp and all their bows bent. Their horses' hoofs shall be counted like flint, and their wheels like their ships. Was not when the Lord, the vision of the Lord in Daniel, the 7th chapter and 9th verse came down, it mentioned the word wheels, a flame of fire. Ezekiel 1, like a whirlwind. Isaiah 66, verse 15, for behold, Yahweh will come with fire and with his chariots, ships, like a whirlwind to render his anger with fury and his rebuke with flames of fire. Ezekiel 1 and 4, and I looked and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north, a great cloud and a fire enfolding itself. Now you have Edomites that say, scholars that say this scripture is talking about an actual UFO. They made a movie entitled Chariots of the Gods that came out in it was either 1969 or 1970. And I remember seeing it and getting into it as a child. And I believe that's on YouTube. Let me just double check. Bear with me for a minute. Okay, chariots. Okay, that's the movie. It came out in 1970. Chariots of the Gods. Good, pretty good movie. It was a documentary. And they tell you in the movie that when Ezekiel saw these beings, they say that it was definitely chariots or UFOs. also in this movie, if I'm not mistaken, there was a university that took all the specifications of the specs of the Ark of the Covenant, and they made an exact replica, and weird things started happening, so they had to take it apart. So now let's come back. So with the last couple of verses, it said, behold, the whirlwind. Now we know that the whirlwind is talking about a UFO. So you can understand, of Yahweh goeth forth with fury, a continuing whirlwind. It shall fall with pain upon the head of the wicked. The wicked are the Edomites. 24th verse and last verse. The fierce anger of Yahweh shall not return until he have done it. What is he going to do? And not stop until he accomplishes it, is the destruction of Esau, that which is Jacob's trouble. Jacob's trouble, as I said a couple of days ago, I said Jacob's trouble is also Esau's trouble. And until he have performed the intent of his heart, in the latter days ye shall consider it. What is meant by the latter days? The last days. Let me take the last day, the latter days, or latter days. Look how many times latter days come up, the phrase latter days. Was it 25 times? And it's talking about the end days. The last days. Right, it says here, Jeremiah 49, verse 39. For it shall come to pass in the latter days that I will bring again the captivity of Elam, saith the Lord. That doesn't mean Elam is going to be set free. Elam is going to come from under the Esau, and he's going to come up. Elam is going to come up under us. Daniel 10, verse 14. Now I am come to make thee understand what shall befall thy people in the latter days. For yet the vision is for many days. Hosea 3, verse 5. Afterward shall the children of Israel return. And we were reading that in Jeremiah 30, and seek Yahweh. And that's what's happening right now. Their power, and David, their king, the actual king himself, and shall fear Yahweh and his goodness in the latter days. Are we in the latter days? You did goddamn right, we're in the latter days, because we're seeking our Lord, and we speak on David the king, because he's going to be set back up in the latter days. So let me read the 24th verse again. The fierce anger of Yahweh shall not return until he have done it, and until he have performed the intent of his heart. In the latter days ye shall consider it. So anyway, like I said, I wasn't going to make this too long. And I mean, there should be no doubt when somebody mentions that, the time of Jacob's trouble, Here it is right here. Jeremiah 30, from the first verse to the last verse. It can't be talking, Jeremiah 30, verse 7, the time of Jacob's trouble is not talking about any other time but now. The two kingdoms are coming together. The Lord speaks about it happening in what? The latter days. The latter days. So anyway, I'm going to say shalom.